I'm not saying this because I want this to happen. I'm not saying this because it's that I'm excited for it. I'm saying it because I think it's the fact. I think the kangaroo court has been called to a close here. I think Deshaun is the starting quarterback. And I think you saw it in Todd Monken's reaction to Deshaun's performance on Saturday. You saw it in the way that they have put reps forth for the joint practices and the way even Monken saying, it would be unfair to Shedeur to not give him the start against the Bills.
Kind of makes it sound like, he already made up his mind, and he's just now being – which is another thing we can explore, by the way. I get why he feels like he doesn't want to cheat Shedeur out of that whole experience. Mm-hmm. But also, if you made up your mind, then just – you made up your mind.
Yeah, I mean, again, whether it was any big to-do or not, they clearly changed up the reps after talking to the media 2 Saturdays ago. So the idea that you can't change your mind if you've already in your mind named Deshaun the starter, then you should probably just give Deshaun those reps because that's what is that's not what's fair, but that's what's fair to the starters who have to go out there week 1 against Jacksonville.
And it does. It feels like that Monken just wants to be fair. And I feel like in this spot, he doesn't want to feel like he's just straight lying to the team, essentially is what that is. Well, which I would beg the question then, why did you give everyone a 2-week plan if you weren't going to actually follow through with the 2-week plan?
Yeah.
That's the part that just doesn't make any sense. Like if you had enough to see with Deshaun Watson in the game against the Bears, because basically you just wanted to see if he could stand upright at the end of the day and not embarrass himself, then okay, then give us a 1-week plan. Don't give us a 2-week plan that outlines when Shedeur is going to get his chance and his opportunity. Give us a 1-week plan and tell everyone you're going to reassess from there.
So, quite frankly, what I thought was going to be a big week for Shedeur, I now don't think that at all. I don't think Shedeur has a chance to win this job. And if it is, I think it is a minuscule chance because I think we're seeing the way Todd Monken is leaning.
It seems pretty obvious. And this is not just the Kalshi market speaking here, Nick. This is just us reading the tea leaves and then seeing how they've gone about this. And again, I took him being excited in the post-game press conference because I think Deshaun was even better than he thought he was going to be. And the idea that Monken didn't have maybe the highest aspirations, all things considered, but he needed to pass a test. The test is we don't need to see you throw the ball down the field. We need you to see you just complete passes and make the obvious throws. And you hear people like Coach Riz, they loved what they saw. And that's going to be enough for someone like Monken.
I just think it's interesting that I feel like we've really started to hear a lot of Shedeur support over the last 2 to 3 weeks. A lot of people asking, what the hell are you doing with this Deshaun Watson nonsense?
Mm-hmm. Not only last 2 to 3 weeks.
And it just hasn't slowed the train for the Browns at all.
I mean, we just saw it the last 24 hours. Kyle Brandt goes out in this big impassioned, what are the Browns doing? It should be Shedeur Sanders. He should be the person in charge right now. And it's like, and it's again, there's a lot to watching Shedeur push the ball down the field and think that's a quarterback that I can at least do something with. And I need to see if there's something more with. The Browns don't appear to want to go down that avenue and see that right now.
Yeah, and I listen, we're not going to get transparency on this. They don't owe us transparency. I do like that Todd Monken gives us transparency on some things. I've now said transparency about 3 times. I'm dying to know what the hell is what Shedeur's doing wrong, because it's not cadence. It's not like there has to be something that Shedeur is not doing. Falling asleep in meetings, disrespecting his elders. There has to be something other. Because we've seen for most of camp, Shedeur looked like the better player. Mm-hmm. And even there was not a huge gap between Deshaun and Shedeur on Saturday. And again, kudos to Deshaun for the game that he had.
But even Saturday,
he played better than we thought.
Yeah, but even Saturday, some of the things that Monken's looking for, Deshaun failed with. Yeah. The delayed timeout, the getting people in and out of the offense. Burning the timeouts, was another part of that. So part of this. There was a lot that he had. That just didn't. If it was Shedeur, it wouldn't have passed the sniff test.
Yeah, and what's weird about it is just take Shedeur and Deshaun off of it. Just from the profile side of things, it makes no sense to start Deshaun. It doesn't. There's no other team that would have Deshaun as the backup this year after the 4 previous years, let alone having him be their
Which
starter.
is why when we do the convo of like, where is this coming from? That's why I always go back to Haslam and Andrew Berry. Because if we can't find the answers on the surface and we're trying to figure out why it would benefit anybody, well, it benefits the people that right now, that's the biggest trade in NFL history that their name is attached to, and it's an absolute failure. And they're trying to find some way to make that right. That's why Monken just almost seems like an innocent bystander in all this. If you actually look at him side by side and can't, for football reasons, see anything but a close competition that should still be a competition.
Yeah, I find it very hard to believe that of all the things Todd Monken would be willing to barter with to get the head coaching job at the Cleveland Browns, I find it very hard to believe that the starting quarterback would be one of them.
I don't. I
just find
feel
it
like
impossible. I just
he wanted to be a head coach. This is your answer. You want to be a head coach? This is your call. Nobody else is knocking on that doorstep. And oh, by the way, $50 million over 5 years, that's also a pretty good incentive to do what the owner wants as well.
I think there is, again, I think you can stretch the I'll do a lot to become a head coach pretty far. Refuse to believe.
The paycheck with it's not bad either.
Because here's the thing. I think you're giving the Peterlin pass for Deshaun. I don't think we should. I think it is very apparent.
That was a faded Peterlin pass.
Yeah. That's I think you're giving a stronger Peterlin pass than that little bit of audio.
Peterlin pass.
A little closer to that one.
I have no reason or incentive to give Monken a Peterlin pass in any of this. I'm just the straight shooter's calling it how he sees it.
Truth broker.
Where have I seen Jimmy Haslam call out how the quarterback prediction is going to go before? Oh, wait. Look to last year. We called it directly to a man how it was going to go down and the quarterbacks were going to be used and when they were going to be used. Like, this is how he operates. And who's got stake in trying to make sure that you can squeeze something more out of Deshaun Watson? It's Jimmy Haslam. It's Andrew Berry. I'm just letting common sense prevail for myself. It really isn't any sort of indictment on Monken. It's not even giving him a pass in any sort of way. It's just calling it for how I see it and how I've seen it with the Browns for years.
Yeah, I think Todd. I think Todd disclosed his wildest desires with Deshaun Watson over the weekend. And I'm trying to give him credit. Like, he was genuinely enthusiastic about how Deshaun looked. And again, Deshaun looked fine. Like, if we take it, I would have given him a C. I would have given him a C for the game because he didn't throw the ball down the field, but he also didn't have a big oopsie, and he did operate the offense
he had a big
efficiently.
oopsie. He had the fumble.
Yeah, beyond that one. But with the offensive line, because I actually disagree with Coach Reisland, I thought the offensive line played like garbage. I think you had multiple plays where you had 3 offensive linemen out in like specific plays where they had the positioning and then they olayed on the blockers, or they olayed on the blocks.
I thought the offensive line was bad as well.
So again, with grading on a curve, I'd give him a B. And you would have thought the man cured cancer with the way that Todd Monken talked about him. That did not sound like a man that was being held to playing Deshaun Watson.
No,
that sounded like a man that is enthusiastic about playing Deshaun Watson.
I just think we see this a little bit differently, and that's okay. The way I took it and the way I will maintain taking it is that I think the expectation for Deshaun was so low with Monken's mind that he was just happy to see him look formidable. And that's something that Monken knows he can go through this season. If you have Deshaun looking like that, where he's completing passes, he's not even stretching the field in any sort of way, but he's completing passes, he's finding Concepcion, the procedures look fine, and you're not embarrassing yourself out there. Well, by the way, putting points on the board, I feel like he thinks that's going to be enough to get him ahead of embarrassing, which is the line that Monken has to at least pass until you can figure this whole quarterback thing out to get him to 2027.
So while we're talking about how big of a week is this for Shedeur, Daryl Ryder on this very own station said this about Shedeur.
This might be the biggest week of Shedeur Sanders' life. And I know that's a tad dramatic. I recognize that me saying this might be getting a little off field here, but this is the biggest week of Shedeur Sanders' professional life because he has to absolutely kill it this week, not only in practice and the joint practice with the Bills, but then in the preseason game. He just absolutely has to light it up.
All right. And again, that's from his Sunday show with Nick Padone. I do like the self-awareness there from Daryl.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
Now, that might be a little dramatic. I would say
thanks, Daryl.
A lot more than a little dramatic. I don't think he's going to be given the opportunity to make this a big week. He's splitting ones with Deshaun on Thursday, and then he's going out there against a bunch of backups and with a bunch of backups on Saturday. how can he knock it out of the park with such limited opportunities? And I'm not complaining. Again, Todd can make his decision. I trust in Todd. It better damn sure work. But let's not act like this is like a real quarterback battle anymore. It's clear that the Browns had a way they wanted this to go. It's vaguely going that way, and they're going to go ahead and rubber stamp that bleep.
The die has been cast.
Yeah.
What is Shedeur supposed to do? You can go out and look awesome. There's been parts of this training camp I thought he's looked that way. If the die's been cast, there's nothing left to be said here.
Yeah.
And that's all right. You go out there, take the experience, go out there on Thursday, get the joint practice experience, go out there in the preseason game, do awesome, do great, learn from some of this stuff, and then he just now has to bide his time until Deshaun either fails on the field or gets injured, and he'll have a chance to play at that point, and then he's got to shine from there. He will get a chance to play at some point this upcoming season.
Yeah, I think that's okay. So I clearly wanted a more legitimate quarterback battle. It is clearly not going the way that I wanted it to, because I also wanted Shedeur to start. But I do think there's a part of me that's like, because, and you've made this point for about 6 months now, because there's just no way that we can trust Deshaun to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. The one part that actually has me 100% cheesed off, that really is annoying, is just a competent organization filled with a lot of really smart people thinking to themselves, we're going to play 2 quarterbacks this year. We know it's going to happen, and we still think we can have success. So much of what they've done has been in the face of, we want to be competitive. And they've got the recipe right there. The one part of the recipe that smells a bit like rat farts is, hey, we're going to play 2 quarterbacks this year. That really is the thing that could take you from a 7 or 8 win team to a 4 or 5 win team. And they have normalized this to such a degree, and everyone acts like it's common sense. That would be the thing that probably annoys me most about how this thing is going and how I think it's going to go.
And the dumbest part about all this is it feels like that's a real reason why Deshaun has the advantage in this, is that people have the expectation that he's not going to play all 17, and so you'll get a chance to play both if you start Deshaun. And I just think that's just an awful and loser way of looking at this whole thing.
Dog Pound Forever saying nobody wants Watson to be the starter, but to sit and make excuses as to why is just absurd. Monken thinks Watson gives him a better chance to win, and that's about it. Okay, then Monken doesn't know what he's looking at. So if it is true that there aren't other things going on here, right? Because let's be honest with you, Deshaun was awful for half of camp. The rest of camp, he's looked serviceable. And that is a big step in the right direction.
Sure.
Yay, serviceable.
Yeah.
He didn't look excellent on Saturday.
No, he
looked
didn't.
Serviceable. And so let's stop acting like there's this gigantic gap between Watson and Sanders. And listen, if there are things we don't know about with Shedeur that are just non-negotiables, okay, but I can't guess about something that I don't know that they're not being forthcoming about.
The tie would never go to the 10-year veteran that is on his final year of a contract. It would never go to him over a second-year pro that you still have under contract. That's not how the NFL would realistically or logically work, but it seems like that's what's happening here.